ในส่วนของพลพรรคผู้อดนอนกับโฮคุกันนะคะมีทั้งหมด3ระดับ3ราคาพร้อมสิทธิพิเศษมากมายเลยนะคะมาสิมาเถอะนะมาสิมาก็บอกให้มาไงมาเดี๋ยวนี้เลยนะฮัลโหล ทุกคนได้ยินโฮคุไหมนะฮัลโหล1 2 3 4ได้ยินไหมอ่ะแป๊บนะขอโฮคุเปิดไลฟ์ก่อนเปิดไลฟ์ดูก่อนโอ้โนได้ยินโอเคเสียงโอเคแล้วโอเควันนี้อ่านแชทเหมือนเดิมนะคะแต่ว่าไม่แปลนะเพราะว่าคดีมันยาวมากขอความกรุณาทุกคนงัดความรู้ทุกอย่างในภาษาอังกฤษของคุณที่คุณมี ได้ยินชัดเจนแต่ทำไมบางคนบอกว่าเพิ่มเสียงอ้ายทำไมน้องโรสไม่เข้าใจโอ้โหเดี๋ยวครูไปเพิ่มเสียงแบบ ได้ยินยังได้ยินยังคะโอเควันนี้จะพยายามอ่านแชทถึงแม้ว่าโฮคุไม่ได้เปิดน้องเบาๆนะโฮคุใช้น้องข้าวแดงนะคะน้องข้าวแดงคือชื่อมือถือโฮคุเอง น้องข้าวแดงจะเป็นตัวที่จะทำให้โฮคุได้อ่านแชทของทุกคนได้นะคะโอเคมาเรามาต่อกันที่เป็นเพราะว่าครั้งที่แล้วนะคะ ดูทุกคนค่อนข้างเบื่อเวลาที่โฮคุไม่ได้พูดด้วยเนาะโฮคุวันนี้จะพูดด้วยนะคะแต่ว่าไม่แปลเหมือนเดิมมีความขี้เกียจแค่อาจจะมาเล่นให้ดูเฉยๆว่ามันเท่นะโอเคไหมอย่าอ่านอดนินทาโฮคุพอดีโถคุณโนมันนี่มาช้าเกินไปนะมาตามโฮคุช้าเกินไปเขานินทาโฮคุกันถึงไหนต่อไหนแล้วเรื่องปกติไม่นินทาดิไม่นินทาดิผิดปกติ อย่าว่าแต่ทุกคนนินทาเลยโฮคุก็นินทาทุกคนเหมือนกันนั่นแหละเรื่องปกติเนาะ อันนินทากาเลเหมือนเทน้ำใครไม่โดนนินทาคนนั้นเป็นคนชอบกลนักหรือเปล่าไม่ใช่ ผิดกลอน ใครไม่โดนนินทาบ้างในโลกนี้สาวๆไลฟ์ยังนินทาโอ้โหเลยใครจะไปรอดอ่ะ มาเราจะอยู่กับคดีที่2นะคะThe Adventure of the Unbreakable Speckled Band มาน่าจะมีคนร้องเหวอกันบ้างแหละอันเนี้ยดูไปเสียงเกมโอเคใช่ไหมคะ
In a corner of that small, dark room, Sholmes and I waited with bated breath. In time, there came from the ventilator a hiss and a soft, almost growl-like sound. Suddenly, Sholmes sprang into action, lashing furiously with his cane at a point in the darkness. "You see it, Wilson?" he yelled, his tense voice reverberating through the air. I raised my dark lantern shutter, and the room slowly came into view. Sholmes was staring intently at one particular corner when he started whispering to me. The victim's most perplexing final words. The speckled band. I believe this is the terrible coil to which she referred, Wilson. In front of us was an enormous adder, its fangs bared as it threatened to strike. It truly was the most terrible speckled band I had ever seen.
January 6:37 a.m. อ่านไม่ทัน
So then, let us unravel this mystery and discover what events led to this curious murder. Pray, do excuse me. The cabin door was bolted from the inside when the man was killed. No marks to suggest the bolt was tampered with in any way. So, this would appear to be a locked room mystery. In his final moments, the victim scrawled a message on the floor. Almost certainly with the ink from this upset bottle. A Russian word. So the victim was a Russian man then. And the letters are well formed, suggesting he was compos mentis at the time. This is a most extraordinary script. And evidently not penned by the same hand as this message. In fact, I deduce it was written by someone of a different nationality. This paper seal was placed just prior to the incident, by the victim himself, I would venture. Well, What have we here?
Who are you, and what do you think you're doing here?
No one must touch before maritime police come. We must wait.
Shh. That won't be necessary. You see, in less than 5 seconds from now, I will reveal the killer to you.
What? Don't be absurd. This is murder. An cabin locked from inside.
Ah yes, the locked room. But that mystery is paper thin.
You don't mean the culprit is in there?
Who are you, and where have you come from?
I'm a great British consultant detective, the only one in the world. Sherlock Holmes. I presume you must have heard of me.
เป็นไงโฮคุขอบ่นอย่างหนึ่งคือเหตุผลที่เกมนี้ใช้เวลานานมากในการทำภาคภาษาอังกฤษแบบ Official ออกมาเหตุผลหลักๆของมันเลยก็คือมีตัวละครที่เป็น Sherlock Holmes กับดร. จอห์น H. วัตสันนะคะซึ่งสุดท้ายแล้วเขาก็สามารถหาทางออกได้ด้วยการเปลี่ยนชื่อดร. จอห์น H. วัตสันให้เป็นจอห์น H. วิลสันแทนแล้ว Sherlock Holmes ก็เลยเปลี่ยนเป็น Sherlock Holmes แทนนะคะเพราะว่าเขาเกรงว่าจะเป็นจะเหมือนกับเขาเรียกว่าอะไรนิยายชื่อดังมากเกินไปทำให้ติดเรื่องลิขสิทธิ์ทำให้โฮคุต้องรอเกมนี้นานถึง6 ปีนะคะจริงๆแล้วฉบับภาษาญี่ปุ่นเขาใช้เป็น Sherlock Holmes กับดร. จอห์น H. วัตสันเลยใช่ซึ่งนั่นแหละเอาเป็นว่าเขาคือโฮมส์นะคะส่วนคุณหมอวัตสันก็คือคนที่โดนฆ่าไปเมื่อคดีแรกนะคะเพราะฉะนั้นนั่นแหละประมาณนั้นแหละเริ่มนะmy head is throbbing what's going on something's not right here there's trouble in the air แอนิเมชันเขาดีใช่ปะล่ะยินดีต้อนรับคุณเพื่อนกลับเข้ามาสู่การเป็นสายลับนะคะ Wait I can't move what the why am I in handcuffs so you wake up now we had to drag you out of the wardrobe I do not believe how you could not wake up you're a true cold-blooded man you found me then we found you and now you pay criminal how long are you hiding in that tiny wardrobe sorry now you've been found it's time to admit your crimes unless you want to find out how cold the ocean is no I'll tell you everything there's only one thing I'd like to know from you isn't that why did you do it? Why did you take his life? Mr. Sato-san! Wait, what did you just say? Take his life? Where is he? Where's Kazuma? Ha! You pretend you do not know? You're a wolf in a sheep's pelt! You are the killer! Do not try to make excuses! What? Kazuma-sama's body was discovered not long ago. Here, in this very cabinet, that was bolted shut from the inside. His body? Please, do not try to tell us you were doing this terrible thing in your sleep. Kazuma's dead? But he can't be. And these handcuffs, surely you don't think I have to know. Why did you take Kazuma-sama's life? Answer me, please! ตื่นเต้นไหม No! Kazuma, it was just 2 short weeks ago. Are you sure about this? Won't we get in trouble? Don't you find it fun being a stowaway? Besides, how else could you come to England with me to study? It was really something else when they brought your luggage in here earlier, though. The way the Russian crewman just tossed your traveling case onto the floor. I thought I was going to die. Yes, I still can't quite believe that. I really didn't think you'd be able to fit inside my trunk. You must be even less of a man than you look. Hey, honestly, I thought I'd broken every bone in my body. Well, it's about 50 days until we dock in Great Britain. But if you confine yourself to my cabin here, I don't expect anyone to will discover you. I hope not. I get the feeling those Russians wouldn't be very forgiving of a stowaway. They're a sturdy bunch, that's for sure. What I want to know is, why do we need to keep a secret from a young lady? From a faithful judicial assistant Mikotoba, you mean? From your close friend, more to the point. Surely we could confide in her, couldn't we? I don't believe she'd give me away. No, but if she knew what we'd done, that would make her guilty by association. It's best that only you and I know about this. I suppose so. Anyway, it's about the time that a steward อ่านว่า steward นะคะ steward เนี่ย steward เนี่ยค่ะมันอ่านว่า steward มันคือ stew กับ art นะคะ steward คนไทยเลยอ่านว่า steward นะคะ steward is supposed to come and clean the cabin. I know it's cramped, but you better get in there, I think. It won't be for long. But anyway, compared to hiding inside my traveling case, it'll be a breeze. Yes, but what if the steward decides to open the wardrobe for some reason? Then I'll be in for it. Stop worrying. I tell you what, why don't you write keep out or something on a piece of paper? What? Then I can kick it over the wardrobe drawers once you're inside. I don't know. We've only been at sea for about 15 days. How could this have happened? We were supposed to be going on this adventure to England together. We'll leave you at next port. Stay quiet until then. Don't make more trouble for yourself. Murderer! No, I'm not a murderer! Duh! You said before. You said you admit everything about your crimes. No, that's not right! I mean, yes, I did stow away on this ship, but murdering my best friend? No one else could have done it. Admit the truth! Susato-san. Please tell me what happened. I need to know. Very well. But there is something I would like to ask of you too. Those eyes. She looks like she is ready to destroy me. This nightmare is getting worse by the minute. I suppose all I can do is to find out what really happened. He really has been killed, hasn't he? This isn't just a bad dream? And these handcuffs, they think I did it? They think I'm Kazuma's killer? When they found him, the cabin was locked from the inside. What do you mean? There's no access to the cabin via a porthole window, and the bolt on the door can't be operated from the outside. In other words, after the crime, the culprit couldn't have escaped these four walls. What? Or to put it another way, the culprit can only have been somebody inside this cabin. ทำไมถึงต้องขึ้นเรือ เพราะว่าเขาไปอังกฤษกันค่ะ ต่อจากครั้งที่แล้ว นี่เขาเดินทางไปอังกฤษอยู่ค่ะ สมัยนั้นเขาใช้เรือนะคะ ไม่ใช้เครื่องบิน เพราะยังไม่มี เขาจะใช้รถม้ากันอยู่นะคะ สมัยนี้ อย่าลืม เขาเลยใช้เรือไปอังกฤษกัน เมื่อกี้เขาอธิบายแล้วว่าเขาใช้เวลา50 วันในการไปอังกฤษนะคะ แต่ตอนนี้เพิ่งผ่านมา15 วันor do you have some other explanation อันนี้คือเราอธิบายให้คร่าวๆแล้วกันเนาะ แต่ว่าไม่แปลหมดนะคะ อันนี้เราติดกระเป๋าเดินทางคาซุมะมานะคะเพราะเพื่อที่จะแอบขึ้นเรือเพื่อที่จะไปเรียนต่อคาซุมะด้วยนะคะ คาซุมะชวนเรามาแล้วเราก็เลยต้องอยู่ในตู้เพื่อหลบไม่ให้แบบว่าคนเข้ามาทำความสะอาดเห็นอะไรเงี้ยแต่สุดท้ายก็คือเมื่อกี้เขาเจอเราในตู้นะคะระหว่างที่พบศพคาซุมะเขาก็เลยสงสัยเราเพราะว่าเราเป็นคนเดียวที่อยู่ในห้อง That is impossible. How did he die then? What happened exactly? Are you still going to deny the charge? Even despite the circumstances? Please, Sasaka-san, you have to tell me! The cause of death is still undetermined. They don't know how he died? The ship's doctor is examining the body, but of course, he has no post-mortem analysis experience. I don't suppose we shall learn more until an expert has been consulted at our next port of call. So presumably that means there were no obvious external signs of injury then? That's true, yes. ไม่มีบาดแผล Can't anyone tell me what actually happened here in this game? I don't understand it. Why would anyone want to kill Kazuma? Presumably that's something you know the answer to better than anyone. Please, whatever you say, you were here in the cabin after all. Well, yes, I was, but he would always wake before dawn and do his training first thing in the morning. I was waiting outside this cabin as I have every day so far in this voyage, but this morning he did not come. I could sense that he would. Does that mean he was already dead when Susato-san arrived at this cabin door? I wonder. I knocked, but there was no reply. Then I started to become worried. So I went to find a member of the crew. The crewman forced the cabin door open, and when we managed to get inside, there was Kazuma-sama collapsed on the floor. And the white tape there now shows exactly where he was found, I suppose. I had no idea anything had happened. I must have been asleep in the wardrobe somehow. I wish it wasn't the case, but that's just very hard to believe. This is all very hard to believe for me too, trust me. Now I've told you everything that I know. So it's my turn to ask you a question. Yes, alright. Ugh, my head feels so heavy. It's still throbbing like anything. Stowaway คือคนลักลอบขึ้นเรือนะคะ Why are you on board this ship, Nanaru-san? You said something before about being a stowaway, didn't you? Oh yes, I'm afraid that's true. It's 2 weeks since we left Japan now, and I've been shut up in this cabin the entire time. I had no idea. But how could you have occupied Kazuma-sama's cabin for so long without him noticing? No! That would be impossible, obviously. Yes, of course. Kazuma invited me. He wanted us to go to England together. He actually asked you? But why? I'm afraid I don't really know the reason myself. I don't understand. Kazuma, why do you want this? What's your real reason? Why go to such extreme lengths to smuggle me to England with you? It's an idea that's been on my mind ever since the end of that incredible trial. I think I told you then, didn't I? That you ought to become a lawyer yourself. Well, yes, you did say that. but I didn't think you were serious. You have a talent for it, I can assure you of that. But I've never really thought about becoming a lawyer. Well, that's something you can decide for yourself. London is at the spearhead of cultural development, the center of the world in many ways. There can't be any harm in seeing such an important place in your own eyes, can't there? Well, no, definitely no. But on a personal level, if you were to become a lawyer, then what? Nothing. Forget it. ความลับเยอะ เกลียดจังเลยอ่ะ ใครที่ความลับเยอะๆที่แบบว่าชอบแบบลืมไปเถอะฉันไม่ได้พูดอะไรเนี่ยบอกไปเถอะนะคะใครจะไปรู้ว่าใครจะตายวันตายพรุ่งนะคะแล้วดูอยู่ดีเขาตายอย่างเงี้ยแล้วคุณจะไปรู้ความลับจากเขาได้ยังไงโอ้ยเซ็งแทนคุณมาพบุรุษเลยคะเนี่ยKazuma-sama is he was always saying the same thing that he wanted to change the Japanese legal system. Perhaps he thought that he could do that with you. Yes, maybe. But something still bothering me a little. The look in his eyes then. It was darker than I've ever seen it before. มันก็ไม่น่าติดตามไม่ใช่เกมมันติดตามได้ค่ะชีวิตคนจริงมันไม่ได้น่าติดตามเบอร์เท่าเกมนะคะโอ้โหบอกทุกคนนี่แหละค่ะไม่ได้บอกเกมคือเกมอ่ะไม่เป็นไรช่างมันเถอะพอจะเข้าใจแต่ว่าทุกคนนะไม่ต้องอมพนันอะไรมากมายนะรู้ไหมมีอะไรก็บอกไปซะฉันเกลียดแกฉันชอบแกอะไรอย่างเงี้ยบอกไปหมดเถอะคนเราพรุ่งนี้เดินข้ามถนนอาจจะโดนรถชนตายตุ้มอย่างเงี้ยอยู่ดีๆแบบว่าไปต่างโลกเลยอย่างเงี้ยก็มีรุ่นตกบันไดหัวกระแทกตุ้มหายไปเลยอะไรอย่างเงี้ยเพราะเราจะตายวันตายพรุ่งก็ไม่รู้นะคะรักใครก็บอกเขาไปนะคะเกลียดใครก็บอกเขาไปให้เขารู้ตัวซะนะคะอย่าให้เขาต้องมาเดานะจริงมันโมโหอ่ะคือจนโอคูเล่นจบภาคแรกของเกมเนี้ยก็คือโอคูเล่นผ่านด่านนี้ไปแล้วนะเพราะโอคูเล่นใน 3DS มาก่อนก็คือนารูโตะก็คือยังไม่รู้นะว่าคาซุมะตั้งใจจะให้เราทำอะไรคือแบบยังไง อยากจะไปขุดหลุมไม่ขึ้นมาแล้วก็กระชากคอแล้วก็บอกว่าบอกมาเดี๋ยวนี้นะรักเขาคุณรักเหมือนกันนะใช่บอกเฮ้ยจนนี่โอ้โหเล่นคนทนายเนี่ยใช่ต้องยาวแน่เลยอ่ะโซนี่เป็นไงไลฟ์กับคุณหนูสนุกไหมรักทุกคนเหมือนกันนะคะรักนะรักที่สุดเลยนะ I'm sorry that we kept it a secret from you. My stowing away on the ship, I mean. If I know Kazuma-sama, I expect he was trying to protect me, to avoid me becoming guilty by association. That's exactly right, yes. Word perfect, in fact. If you're not the culprit, then tell me. What happened last night here in this cabin? Well, the thing is, I don't really remember. Kazuma brought me some to eat, just like he always did. หมดพลังโซนแล้วงูช้าได้หน่อยได้เปล่าได้ดิหอคือ energy เหมือนไหมเหมือนตอนปิกาจูปล่อยพลังสายฟ้าแสงรู้ป่ะปิกาจูเสียงเงี้ย ใช้แล้วนะเต็มไหมI'll give you my whole energy นี่ Then I got myself to the wardrobe over there just like I always did. After that, I fell asleep. Well, yes. So deeply that you didn't even stir when Kazuma-sama was killed. Well, yes. I know it sounds unbelievable, really I do, but it's the truth. If only I'd woken up, then perhaps I wouldn't be in this predicament. And for some reason, my head's still throbbing like anything. Really? Is something wrong? Oh, no, it's... Please, forget it. Susato-san, you have to believe me, I didn't do it! I really don't want to doubt you. But the trouble is, there's no one else who could possibly have done this. Ugh. เหมือนอยู่นะจริงเหรอเหมือนเหรอ Kazuma, I don't understand why. Why did this have to happen? Ah! I can't take this! Don't try to go anywhere! You are the perpetrator of this crime. You can't leave. I can't allow that to happen. I'm sorry, but Kazuma was killed right under my nose here, and I didn't do anything to stop it. And now I'm supposed to just sit around, my hands tied, while whoever this is walks free? No! I can't allow that to happen! Well, what do you propose to do then? I'm going to investigate. I'm going to find out exactly what happened here. I'm going to work out who took Kazuma's life, and how and why they did it. So I'm sorry, but you're going to have to excuse me. Hiya! โดนไปเนี่ยโดนตลอดอะเมโนคุเนี่ยบอบช้ำระกำซวงตลอดเวลา What the? That was a Susato takedown. Susato takedown! Susato what? What martial art form is that? I'm going to need you to prove it. Sorry? Prove it? Yes, your innocence. I need evidence. But how am I supposed to? Have you forgotten already? What you achieved just a few weeks ago? You successfully defended yourself in a court of law. Ah, I see. She's expecting me to present some conclusive evidence. I have to get Susato-san to believe me. I'll show her some evidence right now that proves I'm not guilty of this awful crime. อันนี้เป็นป้ายนะคะที่ติดอยู่หน้าตู้เนาะ paper seal. Kazuma will stick this over the doors of the wardrobe for me. It says keep out in Japanese. มันอ่านว่า Hakeru na แปลว่าอย่าเปิดไฟอย่างนี้ Though I'm not sure in the Russian crew can actually read it. นั่นสินะ
Yes!
Tell me, when it was discovered in the wardrobe before, was this piece of paper stuck over the doors? Oh yes, it was. I remember clearly. I thought so. Kazuma always put it in place whenever I went to sleep in there, just in case the cabin steward or another crew member decided to look inside. So naturally, he did the same last night as well. Ah! Yes, of course. The gentleman who discovered you peeled that sign from the wardrobe doors before he opened them. But if I were truly the culprit, I couldn't have climbed back inside the wardrobe and stuck this on the outside of the doors on my own. Yes, that's quite true. In other words, it's impossible that he killed Kazuma. Well, even if you are sprawled hopelessly on the floor, I can see why Kazuma-sama thought so highly of you. Thank you, Susato-san. Now, do you think perhaps you could help me up? โดนทุ่มตลอดเวลาเลยนะคะ Well, in the light of that evidence, I don't see any reason why I should stop you from investigating in here at least. Thank you! So you finally believe me? I'm sorry, no. What? I'm not sure yet. I can't rule out the possibility that you use some sort of conjuring trick to put the sign back in position. What does she think I am, a magician? เขาจะสงสัยเราอยู่นะ For now, I suggest you investigate as thoroughly as possible in here. I would do the same. All right, let's get to work, Susato-san. Please don't misunderstand me. I still have my doubts. Oh. I shall be watching you to make sure you do nothing that might disturb the crime scene. I wouldn't want you using your conjuring tricks to destroy evidence, for example. Right. Anyway, I should make a start on investigating in here. Examine everything I can. Kazuma, I swear, I'll avenge your death. Avengers, assemble. มา เรามา examine กันนะคะ เราได้ examine แล้ว จะบอกว่าภาคเนี้ยโคตรเจ๋ง บอกเลยเดี๋ยวจะมีเจ๋งมากกว่านี้ ที่อยากให้ทุกคนเห็น ที่แบบว่าอุตส่าห์ไลฟ์ทั้งที่มันป่านนี้แล้วเพราะอยากให้ทุกคนเห็นมาก จริงๆอยากจะมีเวลาไลฟ์ต่อเนื่องกันไปเยอะๆนะคะแต่ว่าไม่มีเวลานะคะ These are the rules of passage for travel aboard the SS Buria ชื่อเรือนะคะ SS Buria It's essentially a request from the captain to call to all passengers on board. Passengers must not keep weapons or other dangerous objects in their cabins. Pets are also strictly forbidden. What? Why are you staring at me? มันมีระบบใหม่เข้ามาค่อนข้างเยอะนะคะแล้วก็มีแบบแอนิเมชันอะไรเข้ามาสวยๆเยอะเลยเพราะเขาอยากให้ทุกคนเห็นเพราะว่าคุณตายของคุณอะหล่อมากหล่อมากจริงนี่เลยแบบว้าเชฟคิสนี่เลยนะOh sorry I was just thinking Are you more of a dangerous object or a pet ซูซาโตะทำไมถามเราอย่างนั้นอะ I can't decide Well one thing's for sure either way I wasn't supposed to be in here ซูซาโตะOh dear, that won't do. Oh, what's the matter, Susato-san? Whenever I'm examining things, I always find myself so focused, I forget to look around properly. Ah yes, that's not good. I don't suppose you're as foolish as me in that regard, are you, Naruhodo-san?เขาอธิบายให้เราฟังนะคะ I'm sure you're careful to look around using blah blah, aren't you? Now let's investigate all corners of this cabin. Yes, let's do that. I suppose my field of vision has been rather small until now. Okay, งั้นเราสามารถเปิดไปได้นะคะ ไปทุกที่เลยเนาะ จะเล่นแบบเร็วๆ เดี๋ยวครูอธิบายให้ฟังว่าทำไมถึงเป็นอย่างนั้นนะคะ เพราะว่าครูเคยเล่นแล้วครูเลยจำได้The books have fallen over the shelf. Look, they've all toppled the same way. And what's this? A statue of some god of the sea? Although it's fallen over as well. Yes, it's almost as if the whole shelf has been ransacked and everything mound down at once. I wonder if perhaps it was Kazuma-sama doing this morning's sword training. Do you think? I seriously doubt it. Then perhaps.It was you, Naruto-san, in a fit of rage. I wouldn't have bothered leaving the wardrobe just to mess up a few books on the statue. Could the way these things have been thrown about have anything to do with the case, I wonder? Well, I'll just set everything straight again. I don't like to see a mess. โอ้โหเข้าใจซูซาโตะThat's a very large traveling case, isn't it? Yes, it carries a lot of memories for me. Memories? What do you mean? Well, that's actually how I stowed away on this vessel. I was brought on board inside that case. อยู่ได้ยังไงอ่ะเขาตัวเล็กขนาดนี้เหรอ yes, I see it says this way up in Japanese, which in hindsight, I should have realized a foreign crewman wouldn't be able to read. I was turned over and over and over, and then it was tossed on the floor in here.Oh dear, being a stowaway isn't as romantic as it sounds. Well, it was less painful than a Susato takedown. Okay. What do you think that this is? It looks like a broken piece of glassware. Whatever this thing was, it appears to have a broken cleaning tube.The glass is such a beautiful color. It looks like a cute little netsuke fastener from the kimono outfit. I'm not sure this sounds like Kazuma. He wouldn't have secretly carried a cute little trinket like this around with him, would he? And the mark beside it, what is it, I wonder? It has a sort of brick-like hue. Yes, you're right. It is a color brick, isn't it? Even though I don't see anything of the same color anywhere else in the cabin. Did Kazuma write that before he died? It looks like it's written in ink. He must have knocked the ink pot from the decks when he collapsed on the floor. Then I suppose he wrote this message by dipping his finger in the spillage. Spillage! Wow. Poor Kazuma-sama, no doubt he was in terrible pain. It's almost unbearable to imagine it. I suppose he was trying to leave some kind of a clue in his final moments, was he? I'm sorry, partner, but I can't read your writing. ขอโทษนะเพื่อนแต่อ่านไม่ออกอ่ะ I don't think that's Japanese, Naruto-san. What? Then what language is it? It pains me to admit it, but I don't know. It's not a foreign script I'm familiar with. What does it mean, I wonder? This is where dear Kazuma-sama would have sat whenever he was writing. London Diary. Poor Kazuma. He didn't even make it to his destination. Nancy! It looks as though the last entry is incomplete. Which means, what? He was in the middle of writing it when the incident happened? Let's see what it says. It could be a valuable clue. Hiya! It's out of the question! What? Kazuma-sama may have departed this world, but you must not read his private thoughts! But what if it's something important, something relevant to the case? Alright, I won't read it. เขาไม่ให้เราอ่านไดอารี่ของคาซุมะนะคะบอกว่าเป็นเรื่องส่วนตัว Poor Kazuma-sama, I don't like prying into people's personal matters either. But in this case, I didn't need... isn't the need for clues more important? It's some 2 weeks since we set sail from Japan. Have you really been living on wardrobe the entire time, Naruto-san? I think living isn't quite the right description. Oh, no, I suppose not. Although it must have been rather exciting, making this voyage in your own secret hideout. The trouble was, I never knew when a member of the crew might come in. So yes, I did basically have to live in the wardrobe. And last night was no exception. But because of that, you had no idea what was happening out there in the cabin. No, sadly not. Susato น่ารักนะคะน่ารักเป็นคนน่ารักมาก This is, yes, it's a bell cord contraption, I think. What do you mean, contraption? I read about it in a book I was studying that talked about life in Great Britain. Large households often have bell cords like this, which you can pull to ring a bell to summon servants. Really? That sounds almost magical. เป็นสายแบบว่ากระดิ่งเรียกพนักงานนะคะ Shall we give it a little try? Yes! In the interest of cultural research, obviously. อยากเล่นI suppose nobody comes for lowly Japanese people. No, I'm sure it's just that everyone is busy, that's all. Oh no, Susato-san. I think there's some kind of opening for a ventilator. A hole through which fresh air can circulate into the cabin. Isn't that a little odd? What do you mean? Well, this ventilator, if that's what it is, looks like it must connect to the next door cabin. Yes, it would appear to. You're right. But if its purpose is to allow fresh air into the room, surely it should be connected to the outside. That's true. Perhaps it's so that rain and spray don't find their way in when the seas are rough or something like that. I suppose maybe that's it. Who's that? He wasn't there a minute ago. สวัสดีคนที่เพิ่งมาใหม่นะคะ As far as I can tell, it looks like he might be European. Oh, how did he? ดูดิดูแอนิเมชันดิมันน่ารักมากเลยเนาะแบบมีหันหลังหันหน้าแบบโอ้โหรักภาคนี้มากทั้งที่เป็นภาคที่ควรจะเกิดขึ้นก่อนคุณทนายนะแต่เป็นเพราะว่าคุณทนายเกิดมาตั้งแต่ปี 2000 นิดๆนะคะเทคโนโลยีก็เลยไม่เท่า You've noticed the man too, have you? I have no idea who he is or how he got in here, but he looks suspicious and tall. Suspiciously tall. Huh? Naruto-san, don't tell me. Do you really not know who that is? Well, no. I don't have any foreign friends or acquaintances at all. He doesn't look like a member of the crew. There's something very unusual about him. And is he investigating Kazuma's decks or is he just playing on it? I can't tell. Well, in that case, we simply must talk with him. Am I just imagining it or does Sato-san look almost uncontrollably excited? By the way, I expect that you have noticed already, but just in case, if you press O when they're in the crosshairs, you can converse with them, okay? Alright then, I'll get the suspiciously tall gentleman in my sights and see what he has to say for himself. Oh, please do. เดี๋ยวก่อนขอ examine ก่อนนะฝั่งนี้ยัง examine ไม่หมดนะคะเดี๋ยวค่อยคุยนะพี่ชม When I went for help and the crewmen forced the door open, this bolt had been firmly closed. It's quite a small bolt and not particularly sturdy, and it just slides across to secure the door shut. But still, with the door bolted, there would be no way to get in or out of the cabin, that's for sure. มาทันนะคะ It's no wonder everyone suspects me. When she glares at me like that, I feel tense all up and down my spine. I remember reading once in a detective novel, the culprit used a needle and thread to draw a bolt across the outside room in a situation like this. พี่อาคุสวัสดีค่ะขอบคุณที่เข้ามาเยี่ยมโอคุนะ Yes, that's a clever trick, isn't it? I'm an avid reader of detective stories myself, but the door of this cabin and its frame are made of metal and they're sealed together perfectly. ทุกคนสวัสดีพี่อาคุด้วยนะ There would be no possibility of using that needle and thread trick here, I'm afraid. That when she glares at me like that, I feel pins and needles all up and down my spine. ดาบของคาซึมะนะคะ That's Kazuma-sama's precious sword. It never went anywhere without it. Yes, it was always saying that a Japanese man's katana in his sword. I believe he had to work very, very hard to convince the gunman to allow him to bring it on his trip. I suppose that shows just how important it was to him. And now he's gone. But I'm not ready to let his spirit go just yet. Oh, อะไรอ่ะ อ๋อกระดูกไก่ That's my dinner from last night, a roast chicken. It was really tasty. Yes, it was very delicious, wasn't it? But did you eat it on the floor there? I'm not a dog, Susato-san. I ate at the table, of course. Which begs the question of when and how the plate ended up on the floor. But Kazuma-sama didn't like chicken at all, did he? No, that's right. So we didn't touch it. Which meant all the more for me. Oh no! Does that mean poor Kazuma-sama spent his last night on this earth with an empty belly? It's just too horrible. Ugh, now I suddenly have a guilty conscience and has achy stomach. There's nothing on this table at all. The plate and cutlery are all over the floor for some reason. Yes, it's strange. Last night when I went to sleep, I'm sure everything was still. No, wait a minute. What is it? That's funny. I can't seem to remember anything about what happened after dinner at all. So then perhaps you are responsible for what happened to Kazuma-sama. No. Seigi, the Japanese word for justice. The brush strokes are straight and true, just like Kazuma. Yes, His calligraphy always was a reflection of his heart. Yet you, can you really look at those characters without feeling shame knowing who drew them so thoughtfully? Of course I can! I mean, I'm innocent, so why shouldn't I be able to? Even though you stowed away on this ship. Susato! Man! Now you're going to bring that up, are you? I can't win. Perhaps I should see what this Russian crewman makes of the scene of the crime. Excuse me. What? I was wondering how it's going. The investigation. Grandmother told me Japanese people do not make jokes, but it's not true, I see. Sorry? The criminal asking investigator for information about his crime, very funny. Oh! It wasn't supposed to be a joke. He doesn't appear to be laughing either. He's convinced you're guilty. He might have useful information though. I have to keep trying. So, last night, did you notice anything out of the ordinary at all? Nyet! Of course not! Now back to corner of the room and make silent. Oh, chud. I say no more to you. Did I hit a nerve? Just for a minute there, he seemed a little flustered. Never not kui. Excuse me? Excuse me! Do you have a moment? Shh! This is a critical point in my investigation. Maybe I should leave him alone. He seems a little unfriendly. Yes, perhaps that would be for the best. Greetings! อ่านไม่ทัน what exactly are you doing on Cosmos Dex just now? ต้องอ่านเป็นสำเนียง British ป่ะ ก็คืออ่านไม่ได้เลย
I see. Fascinating.
Fascinating. Sorry? What do you see? It feels like he's looking right through me.
Yes. Everything is clear now. The train
ถ้าเป็น British จะเป็นยังไง
The train of reasoning has run its course. My deductions have crystallized.
You have been in Afghanistan and perceived just recently returned, if I'm not mistaken. What? Sorry? What? And now, whilst venturing toward foreign climes, you find yourself in a most troubling predicament. Oh, well, that's true at least. But how? How the Jews can I know that perhaps? It was really a most elementary deduction, hardly worth explaining. Have you perhaps managed to deduce anything else? But of course, a great many things. There is no mystery, my dear madam, for example. You have fled your native land of Russia, being, as you are a merciless revolutionary. Huh? You leave 16 victims of assassination in your wake and now travel to England to blow up the Crystal Tower. And when the beribboned occupant of this very cabin discovered your identity, you ended his life too. เขาบอกว่าเราเป็นผู้ร้ายหลบหนีนะคะ เหมือนกับเป็นคนก่อกบฏนะคะ หลบหนีจากรัสเซีย แล้วก็ฆ่าทุกคน Yes, I believe that summarizes the facts beautifully. No need to hide the truth now. Nothing deceives these eyes. Just to be clear, you were talking about me, are you? กำลังพูดถึงผมใช่ปะครับ Certainly I am. Do you see another in this cabin who fits the bill? A Russian assassin with 16 victims to his name? I don't see one person who fits the bill. ไม่มีโว้ย So it's true. It was you who did this, Kazuma-sama. What? And you are plotting a revolution too. It's shameful behavior, Naruto-san. Absolutely wicked. No, listen, there's no way Hiya! โดนอีกโดนตลอดโดนตลอด Now explain yourself. Tell me everything. This is ridiculous. มันจะเกินไปแล้วนะโดนตลอดเลยเพราะว่าน้องแบบว่าน้องมีโชว์เป็นไอดอลนะคะ How could you do it? For pity's sake, open your eyes. I'm not a Russian revolutionary, obviously. Oh, forgive me. And as for you, what kind of deduction was that? You were just saying the first thing that came to your head. But was I not right? Whilst venturing toward foreign climes, you do find yourself in a most troubling predicament, do you not? Well, yes, maybe. Ha! There you have it, you see. What do you make of that? Well, to be honest, ก็คือถูกแค่ส่วนเดียว This ship isn't en route. เขาคงไม่เคยอ่านคำนั้นได้เลย en route ไม่รู้ to England เดี๋ยวเขาเปิดก่อนนะ ขอบคุณคุณพี่หมีเกรซี่นะคะ เข้าใจว่าโฮมส์ที่เป็นต้นแบบอะไรเนี่ยจะออกเพ้อเจ้อหน่อยแต่นี่มาหนักเหมือนเล่นจน เล่นอะไรอ่ะเอ้ยอ่านไม่ทันอ่ะขอโทษเดี๋ยวนะมันอ่านในนี้ได้ไหมอ่ะอีเวนต์แป๊บนึงนะมันไม่อัปเดตอ่านไม่ทันอ่ะโอ้โหขอประทานอภัยโอเคเดี๋ยวนะเปิดเสียงก่อน en route โอเค en route แต่บางสำเนียงก็อ่าน route เดี๋ยวก่อนนะปิดเสียงไงอ่ะไมค์คงมีเสียงจีใช่ไหมเนี่ยมันจะพังอีกแล้วเหรอเดี๋ยวแป๊บนึงนะคะทำไมไม่มีให้ปิดเสียงวะโอเคOkay. This ship is en route to England, and I'm in handcuffs at the scene of a murder, so I'm not really sure you could call it deduction. It's more plain observation. Indeed, and observation, my dear boy, is the basis of all deduction. My method is founded upon the observation of trifles. You see, I announce my findings with a brassy certitude. And more often than not, I'm right. I don't think you introduce yourself. My apologies. How remiss of me. I'm none other than the greatest detective of all century, known to men and women the world over. The inimitable Sherlock Holmes! So, it's really you? The actual Sherlock Holmes? The very same! The inimitable actual Sherlock Holmes. เขาหล่อมากคุณรักเขานะคะคุณชอบ Do you know this man, Susato-san? The most famous detective in the world, Naruto-san? Of course I do. There's nobody who hasn't heard of him. What planet have I been living on then? We must ask him what he's deduced. He'll have worked out the entire case already, I'm sure. Really? Why do you feel uneasy about this? So, you're a great detective, are you? Sorry, what was your name again? Indeed, I'm none other than the one and only Herlock Sholmes. Oh, I see. You are German? โอเค จะบอกว่ามันเป็นมุกนะคะอันนี้เขาถามว่าเป็นคนเยอรมันหรือเปล่าเพราะว่าคำว่า hair นะคะ air แบบว่า air มันแปลว่า Mr นะคะ air กับถ้าเกิดว่าเป็น frau จะแปลว่า Mrs หรือว่า Miss นะคะแปลว่า Mrs ใช่ frau แปลว่า Mrs นะคะส่วน hair นะคะ hair แปลว่า Mr อันนี้เขาเล่นคำนะแบบว่า hair herlock อย่างนี้เหรอแบบอ่าน herlock นี้เหรอเป็นคนเยอรมันหรือเปล่าอะไรอย่างเงี้ย No I have no hair I mean I have hair แล้วเขาก็เล่นต่ออีกไม่มี hair แต่ว่าฉันมี hair นะคือแบบว่า ฉันมีผมนะฉันไม่มีคำว่า hair อยู่ข้างหน้าแต่หมายถึงว่าฉันมีผมนะแต่ก็เรียกฉันว่าชมแล้วกัน You can read all about my exploits in this exciting London publication. Ah yes, Rand's magazine, full of wonderful short stories and interest articles from Great Britain. I never miss an issue. I have it sent from England especially. Ah yes, here it is. The Adventures of Herlock Sholmes. รู้สึกไม่คุ้นนะคะอ่านชื่อนี้ Oh, so you are the protagonist of the series of short series then. Indeed I am. And you read so many of your own stories you've started thinking you really are a detective. Make no mistake, I'm not the poor deluded fellow you take me for. Your inference is backward. Backward? My trusty biographer records my greatest detecting achievements and chronicles them in the magazine. You have a biographer, do you? Doesn't anyone? Mine goes by the name of Dr. Wilson. Presently, keeping shop in London. Dr. Wilson? เขาบอกว่าเขามีคนช่วยเขียนเหมือนกับอัตชีวประวัติของเขาแล้วก็เขียนลงนิตยสารนะคะชื่อว่าคนที่เป็นผู้ช่วยเขาชื่อว่าดร. Wilson แล้วเราก็เลยแบบ ดร. Wilson เหรอI must say, thanks to that publication, I've been fantastically busy of late. Why, this very moment I'm returning from Asia, having solved the mystery of a cursed royal crown. Really? I can't work out whether I should take this man seriously or not. Nancy na, deduction, you see, is to me a science, logical reasoning in its purest form. Science? Really? The astute observer notices even the most subtle of reactions in his subject. A furtive glance, a twitch of a muscle, a slight inclination of the posture. Fingernails, arm sleeves, furrows in the skin, all these things of data. Right. And a chain logician makes deductions from his data in the blink of an eye. The ultimate conclusion is, without fail, the truth. As I demonstrated a few short moments ago, how can he look me in the eye and claim that? So you see, I have a turn both for observation and for deduction, and fame. That is what makes me the one and only Herlock Sholmes. Okay. ได้เลยนะคะ Have you managed to deduce anything about this particular case yet? Have I managed to deduce anything? My dear fellow! Who do you suppose discovered the culprit in this most cunning hiding place? That's right. It was none other than the great detective before you now, Mr. Herlock Sholmes! I see. In other words, I'm in these now because of him. When I became anxious about Kazuma-sama this morning, I summoned all the crew members to force the cabin door open. And I concealed myself among their number, gaining entry to see the crime. Yes, luckily for everyone, the great detective Sherlock Holmes was on board. And the handcuffs seem to be an excellent fit, Mr. Naruhodo. Ah. The very moment I laid eyes on the scene, two facts were immediately apparent to me. Oh, really? 2 facts, you say? Two facts. Oh, Aki, hello! Hello. Welcome to my Guerrilla stream. Mr. Sholmes, tell us please. What 2 facts were apparent to you when you came into this cabin this morning? โชมจะมาเป็นคู่กัดเราแบบตอนเอจี้ไม่ค่ะไม่โชมเป็นแค่นักสืบค่ะไม่ใช่ไม่ใช่อัยการนะคะโชมเป็นแค่นักสืบค่ะเขาจะช่วยเราสืบเห็นอย่างนี้เขาช่วยเราสืบนะคะ เขาช่วยเราสืบจริงๆyes but first let us be precise the 2 facts in question were immediately apparent to me yes I understand what were they allow me to elucidate น่าช่วยแบบกัมชูใช่ค่ะช่วยแบบกัมชูแต่ช่วยมากกว่ากัมชูนะคะกัมชูทำอะไรไม่ค่อยได้เพราะว่าเขาไม่ค่อยอิสระThe 2 facts that I deduced from a mere momentary glance at the scene of the crime were as follows. Number 1, the cabin was locked from within, rendering escape from the culprit out of the question. Number 2, the victim was Russian and killed following a dispute with an acquaintance. Hold on, Mr. Sholmes. What made you think the victim was Russian? Observe the dying message left by the victim on the floor. Blah blah. That is a word for wardrobe. Do you really think Kazuma-sama would have left a dying message in Russian? In their final moments, many find their native tongue fill in the head for this young man Russian. Kazuma was Russian. Was he? Yani! Initially I considered Garderobe may be the name of the killer. A certain Robert Gard, perhaps. But in the interest of thoroughness, I decided it would be wrong not to look inside the wardrobe there at least. Where you found Mr. Naruhodo sleeping soundly. Why so? I found you! The renowned Russian revolutionary killer. Why is it that I'm Russian too? Why? ทุกคนจะน่ารัสเซียไม่ได้ Observe that you were wearing same attire as the victim. In other words, you were acquainted. And if my memory serves, that outfit is a traditional dress of Russian people. Our school uniforms are traditional dress of Russian people? I had no idea. And I had no idea a detective could get something so wrong. I took a photograph of the victim and the message that I might analyze it for possible hidden details. Oi! My God. This was taken immediately after the young man was discovered before the body was removed. Yes, Kazuma had already been taken away when I woke up. This is the first time I've actually seen him like this. Everyone is Russian to you. Are you alright, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes, thank you. The photograph, okay. Crime scene photograph, the Russian word for wardrobe in purple ink. It would appear to have been written in the victim's final moments. Okay. Can I ask you something, Mr. Sholmes? What, pray? You mentioned Russia before as well, didn't you? You know when you said I was a fearsome revolutionary fleeing from Russia and all of that? Ah, yes, a train of reasoning that led me to the truth. Would you mind explaining that train of reasoning to me, do you think? Oh, certainly, if it interests you. How many times I'm not Russian and I don't speak Russian? Can we talk about your deduction before the things you concluded about me? The now famously accurate troubling predicament you find yourself in. Actually, it was the other details that I was more hoping to discuss. You know, the merciless Russian revolutionary and assassin of 16 part. Yes, the more sordid details, it was a fairly commonplace deduction. Here we have this morning's paper. The main headline reads: Revolutionary villain Bolshevik flees Russia via Shanghai. This vessel made a port call at Shanghai yesterday, and last night the young Russian was murdered. Since when was Kazuma Russian? It sounds like Mr. Sholmes had concluded he was Russian because of what Kazuma wrote on the floor. It was a simple act of reason to realize that the culprit of his crime was the same merciless revolutionary. One who killed the very man who helped him to escape after his true identity was discovered. Yes, you. Villain Bolshevik. No. How could it be me? I don't look anything like this man. Just look at his face. Well, you are a fearsome revolutionary after all. Therefore, you have no doubt learned to revolutionize your appearance as well. Please. And I might add, your name does not appear on the ship's passenger list. Need I say more? Well, that's because I'm a stowaway. What about the other details? The 16 victims' assassination and blowing up the Crystal Tower? Yes. The journalist clearly interviewed the man and printed all those particulars in the article. The deeds the man has perpetrated thus far and those he's plotting. Yes, everything about this revolutionary Bolshevik was included. There can be no mistake. Do revolutionaries usually agree to interviews with newspaper reporters? And what about the part where you said it was just returning from Afghanistan? Also quite clearly stated here in the article. Bolshevik is recently returned after a period of subversive activities in the war-torn region of Afghanistan. Where even is it, anyway? This Afghanistan place? Here, take the paper for yourself as a little memento of this great deduction. Thank you. I've absorbed all that is of interest to me within these pages, but I see no rubbish bin nearby. An article on the front page of a Russian newspaper. The headline reads: Revolutionary villain Bolshevik flees Russia via Shanghai. ฝันดีนะคะพี่เกดขอบคุณนะคะ ขอบคุณนะคะ ขอบคุณที่เข้ามาดูคุณนะ And you may find the article on the back page of interest as well. On the back? Cast your eye over as sometime interest takes you. Though you may need someone to interpret. It's all written in Russian. I can hope to read it. But I suppose it wouldn't hurt just to glance at the article. Maybe there might be a picture or two. Before we started talking, you were examining Kazuma's deaths, weren't you? Kazuma? Yes, the victim. Did you notice anything useful? Anything at all? Observe for a moment the desktop of the victim. We see that the victim was engaged in penning some text. London diary. Kazuma was keeping notes of the trip. But I don't think you should read his private writings. It could upset people. Tragic! And something you ought to perhaps elucidate before the act of reading. You mean you've read it already? It is my business to know what other people do not. Yes, I believe it or not, I know a smattering of Japanese. Oh, I see. Well, you're about to know what a Susato takedown is? Susato-san, aren't you going to throw the detective with one of your trademark takedowns? I'm sorry, Naruto-san. What on earth do you mean? Song-san! นี่มัน การปฏิบัติแบบสองมาตรฐาน Life is so unfair สงสารคุณทนายตลอดไปคุณทนายของกูไม่เคยได้อยู่อย่างสงบสุขพร้อมกับคนอย่างสงบสุขเลย Anyway, to return to the matter at hand, namely this diary belonging to the victim, it would appear the final sentence is incomplete, as if the other were cut short. Tell me what is the nature of writing? Pray be precise as to details. Oh, but I thought you knew Japanese. A smattering, dear boy. A smattering. Sayonara, bonsai mikado. Nado. I trust you are suitably impressed. But this diary is littered with complicated-looking characters of which you can read precisely none. So, what was all that showing off before then? If you would be so kind as to show me, I'd be happy to read it to you, Mrs. Jones. I'm much obliged, my dear madam. The final entry here in Kazuma's diary consists of just 2 short sentences. The first reads, 1:23 a.m. I can hear a faint whistling sound. A whistling sound? These are very deep waters. Pray, go on. The second sentence reads, 1:35 a.m. What looks like some sort of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill. A speckled band? What on earth does that mean? I have no idea. I've never heard that expression before. The ventilator grill, you say. The man was presumably referring to the lattice there on the wall, which connects to the adjoining cabin. Yes, the adjoining cabin. Kazuma's diary, okay. A diary Kazuma was keeping of his trip to London. According to the last entry he made before his death, he spied what appeared to be a speckled band. เขามองเห็นเส้นอะไรก็ไม่รู้นะคะห้อยลงมาเป็นแบบลายแบบเป็นลายๆ So, I believe I've given you enough to consider for the time being at least. Do you have somewhere to go? As it happens, the victim's writings in his diary have piqued my interest. The matter warrants further investigation, I believe, and if I am still too long, seasickness takes hold. Oh, I suppose you were thinking of investigating the cabin next door, which a ventilator connects to? Great detectives are a curious breed. Our minds rebel at stagnation. We crave mental exaltation. Yes, I intend to investigate. Hence the truth will become clear soon enough. Do you think perhaps that we could go with you? No, that would be somewhat complicated. What? But why? A simple glance at your wrist should reveal the answer. Oh, these. After all, you're the prime suspect in this matter. Nope, there's no point trying to turn it into a question. You're the one who decided I was the culprit in the first place. Whatever you mean, I have no recollection of naming of you as a culprit at any point. โอ๊ยพี่ไม่คิดจะแบบว่ารับผิดชอบในสิ่งที่พี่พูดเลยเหรอสักนิดนึงก็ไม่ได้หรอพี่เป็นคนบอกไม่ใช่เหรอว่าผมเป็นผู้ร้ายนะครับ You must be joking. You just said it only a moment ago. Dear me, you were clearly misguided. I would have no cause to say such a thing. Well, actually, Mr. Sholmes, I did hear you say that too. You're quite sure? Well, that's very strange. I would have said you had the face of a criminal, you know, not really. So what were you looking at my niece before? Some great detective you are. Well, anyway, that was then and this is now. What do you mean? What I mean, sir, is this. If you're the culprit, then you must play the part more convincingly. Roll over and accept your fate. Now he's just being plain rude. And off he goes, having just laughed in my face. His sense of humor is as twisted as his name. Naruhodo-san, what are you just standing there for? We must go investigate the cabin next door as well. Aren't you forgetting something? What about these? There's no way I can... Hiya! Alaya! After Kazuma-sama spent his dying moments struggling to leave us a clue, you're willing to give up? You're just going to roll over and accept your fate? As if you gave me any choice in the rolling over part. สงสาร I think we still have some investigation to finish off in here first, don't we? Let's carry on examining what we can in this cabin while we wait for a chance to slip next door. Good idea! The situation doesn't look good for me, but there are still things I can do to help myself, and I owe it to Kazuma to do everything I can to find a way out of this and bring the real culprit to justice. Is some wrong, Naruhodo-san? Oh, no, it's just that crewman standing by the door. I can't help feeling like I've seen him somewhere before. Oh, yes, you're right. He does look familiar. Excuse me, sir? Yes? What can I do for you? I recognize that face, but it can't be! It is! It is! Taloka! It can't be! It is! I didn't know you were here, Inspector Hosonaga! Young seat เหมือนเดิม Hello again. What are you doing here? I think this should be my line. I was so stunned when I saw you, my heart stopped. What? Nearly stopped, I hope. I received some special orders to go undercover as a member of the crew and board this ship. Again? ทำงาน You certainly seem to enjoy undercover work, Inspector. If there's anything I can do to help you, please ask. I never expected to see this man on board, but perhaps his presence can help me out of this hopeless situation. Ma. So, what are your special orders this time, Inspector? Yes, why are you dressed as a member of the crew? I'm so sorry. Huh? This is all my fault. I take full responsibility. For what? My orders were to act as Asogi-san's bodyguard. It was Minister of Justice Jigoku, who pushed for this overseas study tour to go ahead. And he entrusted me with ensuring that Asogi-san reached Great Britain without being assassinated. Assassinated? How could that even have been a possibility? I'm not sure. But these are complicated times. There are tensions between the world's greatest powers. Mr. Jigoku said that we should be prepared for all eventualities. This is incredible. I don't believe it. Kazuma-sama was assassinated? Obviously, we can give Asogi-san a visible security escort, which is why I'm undercover now, posing as one of the crew. I see. And I didn't take my eyes off him the entire time we've been on board, from morning till night, every day. But I never imagined it would happen here inside his own cabin, not here on the first class deck. I failed miserably at my assignment, and Asogi-san is dead as a result. I'm a disgrace. All I can do is humbly apologize, Inspector. So if there's anything at all that I can do to help now, just say the word! เขาบอกว่าเขาได้รับคำสั่งมาให้ปกป้องให้เป็นบอดี้การ์ดของอาโซกินะคะของคาซุมะเพราะว่าเหมือนกับว่าเขาเรียกว่าอะไรอ่ะหัวหน้ากระทรวงกระทรวงความยุติธรรมนะคะเขาที่ชื่อจิโกคุเนี่ยเขาบอกว่าอยากจะให้คุ้มกันไปให้ถึงอังกฤษไม่ให้โดนรอบฆ่านะคะไม่ให้โดนรอบสังหารซึ่งพวกเราก็ตกใจมากว่าแบบว่าเอ้าคาซุมะโดนรอบฆ่าเหรอเนี่ยอะไรเนี่ย Permission to investigate. We're doing what we can to investigate Kazuma's death ourselves. I thought you might be. You didn't do it, didn't you? You're not the killer? Of course not! We'd really like to investigate the cabin next door. Yes, so we need to be allowed out of this cabin. I'm sorry. What? You've been deemed a risk to the ship's safety. If you move to even touch the handle of the cabin door, the stormy-looking seaman there will surely snap your neck in two. I suppose I'm not just a stowaway now. They think I'm a murderer as well. Would it be possible to give me something to work with, do you think? I'm going to need something persuasive. What do you mean? If I had a solid reason why the next door cabin should be investigated, for example, I'd do everything I could to persuade the captain to allow it, really. I'd lay my life on the line if I had to. But I don't see how... There may be a way. What? Really? Think of how you tried to persuade me of your innocence, Naruto-san. By presenting me with a piece of evidence that you already had in your possession. Evidence? Is this the same as when you're in court? You must have done it many times during your trial. Simply select the present panel and choose some evidence that Inspector Zona could use. So, evidence that would give us a viable reason to investigate the next door cabin, is it? Alright, yes, I think I might know what we can use. Let's see if I can present the detective with the evidence he needs to persuade the captain. Okay, เรามาหาสิ่งที่เราควรจะไม่ต้อง examine โอ้เรา examine อันนี้ก่อนดีกว่าเพราะว่าโชมบอกว่าข้างหลังมีสิ่งที่น่าสนใจอยู่นะคะโอเค I'm afraid I can't read a word of Russian. No, me neither. I have no idea what any of this says. The pair of you floundering is a sorry sight. Allow me to offer some assistance. The article on the front page of this newspaper is concerned with a fearsome Russian revolutionary. It reads, Revolutionary, violent Bolshevik flees Russia via Shanghai. Yes, you told us that before. It reveals also that those who see the man's beard with their own eyes never live to see the tale. Oh my goodness, he is fearsome. Well, presumably the newspaper photographer was alright, wasn't he? The solution is obvious, of course. If he despises his beard to that degree, he need only shave it off. I'm not quite sure that's a problem, Mrs. Sholmes. Okay. This is interesting. Have you found something relevant, Naruto-san? Well, no. I mean, it looks like it might be interesting. I can't read a single word, I'm afraid. No, nor can I. But look at this picture. Perhaps it's about a beautiful young Russian princess, do you think? She's very pretty, isn't she? I suppose you enjoy articles like this, do you? I don't know. I can't make any sense of it. Ah, I'm glad you've noticed this article. Ah! Allow me to give you a short summary of its contents. Oh, thank you. He pops up everywhere, this Mr. Sholmes. It's about the disappearance of a young lady last night. Renowned prima ballerina of the Novavish Ballet disappears from Shanghai. During a performance in Shanghai, a famous dancer was reported missing. She is, of course, the talented young Nikolina Pavlova. Nikolina, why are Russian names so hard to remember? I don't know. It would appear the woman was in costume when she was found to be missing from her dressing room. Wearing a diamond tiara you see pictured, which is worth some 20,000 rubles. Oh, how much is 20,000 rubles? I have no idea, but I'm quite sure it must be an unbelievable sum of money. Susato-san's eyes are shining like diamonds themselves. The tiara is the property of the Novavish Ballet. It would seem the director is beside herself with worry. Yes, I'm not surprised. The company moves anxious to recover both Miss Pavlova and the valuable tiara. They've requested international assistance at all ports, with sailing to Great Britain. Could this be another case of a Russian fleeing his or her country? It does seem to be the Russian thing to do. I'm not even going to dignify that with a response, Mr. Naruto. โอเคเราได้อาร์ติเคิลเกี่ยวกับนักเต้นบัลเล่ต์คนนี้มาแล้วนะคะก็ชื่ออะไรนะนิโคลิน่าพาฟโลวานะคะหนีออกมาจากคณะเต้นของตัวเองที่รัสเซียนะคะพร้อมกับมงกุฎที่มีค่าประมาณ 2,000 ป่ะ 2,000 หรือ 200,000 หรืออะไรสักอย่างแต่มีค่าเยอะโอเคเราจะต้องพรีเซนต์ใช่ไหมWhat's that? It's Kazuma's diary. Just before he died, Kazuma-sama wrote something rather strange in his diary. Strange? In what way? เอาจริงๆกูไม่แน่ใจเลยว่าวันนี้จะจบไหมเพราะมันยังไม่ทันเริ่มอะไรเลยเนี่ย He wrote, "What looks like some kind of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill." A speckled band? That is strange. Yes, we're still trying to work out what he meant by that. But what I'd like to know is... Don't tell me. The ventilator, is it? You're very astute, Inspector. Hello, company! Sleeping late today? Oh... I'm an hour after you, so I'm not that late yet. You are late! The ventilator clearly joins the next door cabin. That's right, so if we could investigate in there, we might be able to work out that speckled band was. What speckled band was? ใช่ๆคืบหน้าสักนี้ก็ยังดีเนาะ Alright then. เดี๋ยวดูก่อนถ้าตีสองยังไม่จบตีหนึ่งครึ่งแล้วกันแต่ตีหนึ่งไม่จบอะไม่มีทางจบอะตีสองแล้วกัน I can't leave this cabin at the moment. I'm stuck here until we arrive at the next port. The captain has given me strict orders to guard the scene of the crime, you see. ไม่เป็นไรตีหนึ่งพอแล้วกันเนาะ I'll have to entrust the investigation to you. พรุ่งนี้ครูต้องตื่นเช้านะคะอะไรแบบว่าต้องมาเยอะหน่อยครูพลาดอะไรไปหรือเปล่าเนี่ยโอเคไม่ผ่าน Really? You willing to do that? นี่ขนาดแบบว่าไม่แปลไปด้วยนะเนี่ยพูดอะไรกันนักหนาเนี่ยแต่กูก็ชอบนะ Yes, as long as you don't leave the first class cabin area, I'm afraid I can't remove those handcuffs soon. But what about the captain? Aren't you going to against his direct orders? I'm a man of my word. And I promise you that I will lay my life on the line if that's what it takes to convince the captain. After all, I failed to keep Asogi-san safe. This is the least I can do. Thank you. Let's seize the moment then, Naruto-san. Just to like move. Okay. โอ้ยเขาให้ไปแล้วเขาให้เราไปแล้วไปออกโอ้ย no ไปดิ move นะคะเราออกได้แล้ว Oh my god my lord my Jesus let's go ไปข้างนอกกันเถอะค่ะ 9 January 7:48 a.m. SS Buria First Class Cabin Passageway. Phew! I'm finally out of that cabin. I have to admit, this isn't quite what I was expecting. It's less spacious out here than I thought it would be, and this is the most luxurious accommodation. I'll look around. Okay, suit yourself. Yes, indeed. Kazuma-sama was being sent on this study tour by the government. That's why he was being put up in a first-class cabin. Even still, this is about twice as large as my accommodation in steerage. Really? That must be awful. Ah, look over there. That's another crewman keeping watch. And he looks enormous, even if he's sitting down. The door next to him leads to a second-class accommodation. I suppose he's making sure no one comes in here who shouldn't. I suppose. Like people in handcuffs? Naruto-san, you look like a little boy visiting a toy shop for the first time. I would have thought you'd be used to the ship by now. You've been at sea for 2 weeks already. Well, yes, I know. But the thing is, I was inside Kazuma's trunk when I first came aboard, and ever since then, I've been shut up inside that little wardrobe. It must have been a very trying time for you. Please, don't give me that pitying look. ชอบพี่ซูซาโตะทำหน้าอย่างเงี้ยโถอย่างเงี้ยโคตรจะดูถูกเลย This looks like a plan of the SS Buria that shows each deck. Look. Hello, someone who just came here. Hello. เดี๋ยวนะแป๊บนึงนะขอตั้งมือถือดีๆก่อนขอตั้งมือถือดีๆก่อนนะขอตั้งแนวนอนไว้โอเค The Buria is a large-scale steamship with a triple-skinned hull. What a marvel of engineering. Well, it's been playing on my mind for a while now, actually, but how is it that such a huge lump of metal doesn't just sink to the bottom of the ocean? Oh, that's really quite simple, Naruto-san. It is? Well, consider Japanese what?ไม่ได้อ่ะต้องเปิดอันนี้กูต้องเปิดอ่ะขอแป๊บนึงนะarchipelago ทะเลบริเวณที่มีหมู่เกาะนะคะ Oh my god my lord archipelago แปลว่าหมู่เกาะ Oh my god what a high sounding word archipelago เนาะนี่แหละเราจะเรียนคำศัพท์ไปจากเกมมาด้วยกันนะคะคำไหนที่เราไม่รู้นะคะเราก็จดไว้แล้วก็เปิดติดนะคะ archipelago the islands of Japan Yes They're not metal, but they are enormous lumps of earth, many times larger than the ship. And they don't sink, do they? They've been floating happily on the sea since the gods created them. Well, I suppose so. เหตุผลที่มันเป็นอย่างนั้นนะคะเพราะว่ามวลสารของน้ำมันมากเหลือล้นเท่าที่ครูจำได้นะใช่ไหมน้ำมีมวลเยอะมากเลยสามารถทำให้ทุกอย่างลอยอยู่บนน้ำได้นะคะนึกว่าเป็นชื่อเฉพาะเนี่ยได้คำแล้ว archipelago นะคะ What do you think this is? It's a very pleasing shape, isn't it? That's the emergency alarm. It's probably best not to touch it. Oh, an alarm. It says press only in times of emergency. It looks as though it sets alarm bells ringing all over the ship and brings the vessel to a complete stop. Oh, this I have to. What are you doing, Naruto-san? You mustn't touch it. But this is an emergency situation. Just look at these handcuffs. You know full well that's not what the alarm is for. If you were to bring this vessel to a standstill for no good reason, you'd be in an even worse situation. I wish everything would just stop. This ship included. If you have to do something foolish, at least make it something that doesn't affect anyone else. ทาวเวลน่ารักเนาะชอบมากเลยอ่ะชอบแอนิเมชันภาคนี้มากนะคะใครเล่นภาคนี้ก็จะฟินกับอะไรอย่างนี้นะโฮคุฟินมากโดยเฉพาะเล่นภาคเก่าๆมาก่อนนะคะจะมีความแบบ สุดยอดโหครูอยากให้ดูตอนที่แบบเข้าศาลอังกฤษแล้วเห็นคนทนายของครูเดินแบบมันดีมากเลยทุกคนครูจะบอกว่ามันดีมากเขาหล่อมากกูจะเล่นให้ถึงกูสัญญากูจะเล่นให้ทุกคนได้ดูว่ากูจะได้เขาหล่อมากเขาหล่อมากเลยเขาหล่อมากถ้าเขาแบบเดินไปเดินมาข้างหลังแบบข้างหลังแท่นมันหล่อมากเลยหล่อจนอยากจะร้องไห้โอเคต่อa trap for catching mice yes we have plenty of those back home in Japan although they seem to be using a lump of chalk or something as bait. Let me see. Yes, I think that's what it's called cheese. It's made from the milk of cows. Cheese? I wonder what that tastes like. You can't eat it, Naruto-san. The trap will snap shut on your fingers. Really? But, I suppose you're right. คุณทนายห้ามกินโอ้ยตอนนี้ยังไม่ใช่ทนายคุณบรรพบุรุษห้ามกินชีสที่อยู่ในกับดักหนูนะโอเคปะ You weren't actually going to try it, were you? All I've had to eat for the past couple weeks is Kazuma's leftovers. You don't know how hungry I've been in that wardrobe. Oh, poor you. I'll find a little snack for you later. สงสารเขานะคะได้กินข้าวเหลือๆจากคาซุมะทุกวันเพราะว่าต้องซ่อนตัว That's a huge book on top of the table there and there's a pen next to it โอ้ยแบบนั้นอ่ะ No oh this is cold Baby it's cold outside Baby it's cold inside Wait Let me put on my sweat my bunny sweatshirt แป๊บนะขอพูดดูก่อนอันไหนคือด้านหน้าหนาวเพราะครูใส่ชุดที่กดมาพร้อมกับโซนี่ชุดเสื้อหนาวขนที่เป็นหูกระต่ายใช่ใส่แล้วโอเคโอเคมาอุ่นแล้วสบายใจ Yeah, it looks like the ship's locked. Shall we have a little look through it? Open that. ฝันดีนะคะคุณปวีกรขอบคุณนะคะ The writing is so neat and precise. Every detail about the voyage has been meticulously recorded. You wouldn't expect a rough and ready sailor to have such a beautiful handwriting. And nothing, no reaction at all. I thought he might appreciate the compliment. Yahoo! ขอบคุณค่ะใครเอ่ยเดี๋ยวแป๊บนึงนะขอบคุณคุณโนมันนี่นะคะหนาวแบบนี้ต้องอยู่ในน้ำอุณหภูมิห้องแล้วครับขอบคุณนะคะสำหรับ200 กว่าบาทอ่านไม่ทันขอบคุณนะคะแต่หนาวจริงพอดีตรงนี้มันนั่งตรงแอร์พอดีนะคะ I'm not sure that rough and ready is much of a compliment Naruto-san even to a sailor ขอบคุณคุณฝนส้มนะคะขอบคุณค่ะ Anyway last night's log is mostly blank presumably that means that there was nothing to reportกดผิดกดผิดแป๊บนึงกดผิดโอเค That's the way to the second class area of the ship. Is something wrong? I was thinking about making a run for it, just for a moment. Things aren't exactly going well for me. I might be wrong, but I imagine the moment you reach for the handle of the door, that burly seaman would surely shoot you dead. Oh dear, I'm sorry. Perhaps I went a little too far there. No, I started it with my talk of running away. And there is no way I could run away while Kazuma's death remains a mystery anyway. Excuse me, but could I ask you something? You little stowaway murderer! That wasn't a good start, was it? Alright, let me try instead. Good day, Mr. Sailor. I'm so sorry to trouble you, but could I perhaps ask something of you? You little third-class ladies' maid! Oh, we seem to have caught this sailor on the bad days, is that the song? I'm not sailor! My mother gave me name. I'm senior crewman, Biff Strashnov. Phew! The best thing is just to avoid eye contact, I think. Ooh, good eye. Mr. Strashnov, about this first-class cabin area. Here we are in finest part of Burya steamship for very important persons. What sort of very important persons? Government officials, kings and queens traveling in secret, many important persons. That is why I'm always guarding this place. Gosh, that's amazing. But somehow less stupid stowaway inside. I want to pick you up and throw you in ocean, but Strashnov is not animal. Thank you. If I may, I was wondering, is the cabin next to Mr. Asogi's currently occupied? Da! น่าจะว่า da นะคะที่แปลว่า yes. Susato-san, did you understand that? It sounded like da. I think it's probably Russian for yes or no. Genius. It is not permitted to visit other cabins without invitation. Well, it sounds like there's somebody in the next door cabin at least. Yes, it's tantalizing. Oh, okay. Could you tell us who's traveling in the cabin next to Mr. Azogi's? His name is Mr. Grimsby Rylot. He's a very important Western gentleman. A Western gentleman. Do not think about it. He has nothing to do with the murder of the student boy. How can you be so sure about that? Mr. Rylot is authentic Western gentleman. Such a man would have no interest in lowly student from insignificant Far East Islands. That was harsh. Could you tell us when Mr. Roylott came aboard ทำไมชอบอ่าน aboard ว่า abroad ด้วยเนี่ย That is not your business. Come to think of it, even though we've been at sea for 2 weeks now, and I've been in Kazuma's cabin the entire time, I've never once heard anything from the next door cabin, or even felt like there's anyone there. Well, presumably, since this gentleman is occupying one of the first-class cabins, he must be rather important, is that right? โคตร racist ใช่คนสมัยก่อนเนาะเขาก็อย่างนี้แหละพวกแบบว่าคนที่คิดว่าตัวเองเหนือกว่าชนชาติเอเชียนะคะ He must be rather important, is that right? Is that not that is not your business. Are you on a watch here all the time, Seaman Strashnov? Da, all time. So criminals like you cannot come in or get out. I wonder, could you tell us anything about last night at all? It is sad about student boy. Were you on watch last night as well? Of course. And did you notice anything at the time? Anything unusual? What? Susato-san? Did you understand that? It was clearly a no! I saw nothing unusual, nothing at all. And you didn't hear any strange noises or sense anything was wrong in some way? Oh, เขามองหนีเราอะอุ้ยเพิ่งเห็นว่าโดเนทเป็นเลขกลม 6,000 บาทขอบคุณนะคะ I said no! Sorry! I'm not so sure. I could have sworn that he wouldn't catch my eye for a moment there. ใช่เขาไม่มองหน้าหรอกThis is enough. I cannot say more now. Oh. It is time for me to report to the captain. You must return to cabin. Yes, alright. Bulkhead to second-class area staying locked at all times. You escape when the lobster whistles on top of the mountain, or, as English say, when the pigs fly. Yes, I understand. Good. Now we can investigate this area properly, shall we? Definitely. แน่นอนว่าสิ่งที่เรายังไม่ได้สำรวจนะคะก็คือห้องนี้ This is it. This is the cabin next to ours. The one the ventilator connects to. Yes, the ventilator from which Kazuma-sama wrote that he saw a speckled band emerging. Maybe whoever is in this cabin can help solve that particular mystery. Let's ask! No answer. We're out of luck, it seems. There's no one in there to help without inquiries. How annoying. What was that? It came from inside the cabin. Such a high-pitched scream. It must have been a woman. Stand aside. I'm about to break the door down. Mr. Sholmes. I shan't be stopped. When the fit is on me, I'd revel in kicking doors off their hinges. Please, wait, Mr. Sholmes. The door doesn't appear to be bolted. It doesn't? Then how the deuce can I dispatch his muscular urge? What, pray, can I kick? I think we should go in. There's no time to think about stress and leave. Ah! Oi! พี่ชมบอกว่าเดี๋ยวผมจะเตะประตูเข้าไปเองนะเสร็จแล้วซูซาโตะก็เลยบอกว่าประตูไม่ได้ล็อกนะคะผู้ชมก็เลยบอกว่าโอ๊ยแล้วฉันจะเอาความเขาเรียกว่าอะไรอะพลังอันแรงกล้าในตัวฉันไปแบบว่าไปปล่อยออกที่ไหนถ้าเกิดว่าฉันไม่ได้เตะอะแล้วเราก็เลยบอกว่าเราช่วยไปเตะที่อื่น passenger your SS Beria first class cabin number 2. Who? Who are you? A Western gentleman? This man looks Russian to me. We heard a woman scream. A woman? Don't be absurd! As you can see, there's nobody but me in this cabin. True. This ขอบคุณค่ะใครเอ่ยนะขอบคุณคุณโคล่านะคะสำหรับ30 บาทเสียงมีเสน่ห์มากครับเฮ้ยอยู่ดีๆก็โดนชมขอบคุณคุณโคล่านะคะขอบคุณค่ะ True, this old man does appear to be the only person in here. But in that case, who just screamed? Get out, all of you, now! Please excuse intrusion, but you're Mr. Grimsby Rylot, I believe? Yes, that's me, and you are... I'm the one and only, the actual Sherlock Holmes. You've heard of me, no doubt. No? What? I am a great detective of all great detectives, one who adorns the covers of popular magazines, no less. So I assure you, you may trust me completely. The man uses a magazine like a business card. A detective? I do not trust detectives. We distinctly heard a scream emanating from within these walls. But there wouldn't appear to be a lady concealing herself within the wardrobe this time. So might I be so bold as to ask you to open the small traveling case? What? Don't be stupid! How could anyone fit in a small trunk like that? Well, it's quite fashionable these days. Is it not traveling inside one's trunk? Don't look at me. Oh. Oh my! Did you see that, Mr. Naruto? Yes, the case just shook! Leave, now! Otherwise, I'll call the steward! So this is Kazuma's neighbor, Mr. Grimsby Rylot. There's no doubt about it, this strange Russian man is hiding something. I couldn't agree more. Let's see if we can find some clues before that burly sailor returns. Okay. คุยกับเขาก่อนนะคะ Mr. Rylot, we'd like to talk to you about something. No! Oh, I do not want to talk. Leave my cabin now. This is going terribly. We're not getting anywhere here. I agree, but there may be someone else who can help. Perhaps that great detective could get somewhere with Mr. Rylot. Mr. Rylot would like to talk to you about something. โอเคเขาพูดเหมือนเดิมแล้วนะครับน่าจะถามอะไรก็ไม่ให้ความร่วมมือนอกจากเราจะไปคุยกับดีเทคทีฟคนนั้นนะคะสามารถนี่ได้แบบก็ไม่ได้สำรวจก็ไม่ได้อะ What do you think you're doing? This is my cabin. Get out. Could we just have a quick look inside your traveling case, perhaps? No. What a pity. I think we're out of luck. I think you're right. There doesn't appear to be anything more we can do. I agree, but there may be someone else who can help. Perhaps that great detectives could get somewhere with Mr. Rylot. Okay, งั้นเราก็ต้องเข้าไปอยู่ในตู้ทำไม Do you have a moment, please, Mr. Sholmes? You need only address me as Sholmes. That's what I just did, isn't it? Well, Mr. Sholmes, what were you doing in there? คำถามเดียวกันใช่ Why? I was resting, of course. Resting? Indeed, I was contemplating our sea voyage from the confines of the wardrobe whilst waiting for the inevitable time that you would need to call my great powers of detection into service. Oh! And it would seem that the hour is upon us now. The time has come. เฮ้ยจะถึงแล้วกูชอบตรงนี้ Am I mistaken? Well, no, actually, you were spot on for once. Observe closely. A Russian host in this cabin, Mr. Roylott, is clearly trying to hide something. And do you know what is the most effective weapon to use against a Russian hiding a secret? Why? The truth, of course. Though it should be pointed out that such methods are not exclusively for Russians. Right. Can you imagine how the Russian will react when the secret he guards so closely is exposed? Would you like to witness this? Witness it? Oh yes, please. โอ้คุณชอบตรงนี้ทุกคนนี่คือระบบใหม่ของเกมนะคะ This is new. This is new. This is new. This is new. Well then, what are you about to see? What you're about to see may well astound you. For I am about to apply my great detective's greatly admired great deduction to the case. มันเท่มากทุกคนลองดูนะ Could this man be a more hackneyed portrayal of a dubious Russian, I ask you? ไม่ใช่ตรงนี้นะ ไม่ใช่ตรงนี้นะ What? From time to time it occurs to me is a fellow dubious on accounts of his Russianness or Russian on account of his dubiousness. I really don't think either of those things should be occurring to you or anyone. That's right. And Mr. Sholmes, I know this man's beard and dark glasses are hard to ignore, especially on first meeting, but I once read it is a capital mistake to theorize before you have all the evidence. It biases judgment. Shh! I must have complete silence. What are you doing? What are you peering at my face like that? At my face like that? Ah, just as I thought. Yes, I have quite made up my mind now. There can be no other explanation that accommodates all the facts. Mr. Roylott, I have reached two incontrovertible conclusions. What do you mean? Number one, your true identity is that of a villain. Using those chairs, you're about to end the existence of something most dear. Are you not? And number two, the other conclusion I've drawn, you are, at this very moment, no less in the midst of committing a most grievous crime. Beneath that beard, your mouth quivers with nervous tension as you realize you've been discovered. Does it not? Ah! Oh, Naruto-san, I never imagined I would witness one of Mr. Sholmes' great deductions with my own eyes. That was a great deduction? Nothing can deceive Mr. Sholmes. In a single glance, he can deduce all there is to know about the person. What? What ineffable twaddle! Oh yes, I've read about it countless times in the adventures of Sherlock Holmes, and now I've experienced astonishing, oi, accent pit, the astonishing impact of his great deduction firsthand. This is like a dream come true. I can hardly believe it, but all the colors drained from Mr. Roylott's face. It looked like somehow both of Mr. Sholmes' conclusions were right. How? How could you? How could I possibly know such things? You wish to say? Very well then. I shall elucidate. I shall explain how it was that I arrived at this pair of conclusions. So do I cordially invite you upon a journey of logical discovery. Let us board the train of reasoning. Put plainly, let us work through my deductions together. มาแล้ว Great deductions ค่ะ The Great Deduction Topic แรกนะคะ Old Man's Identity ตัวจริงของชายแก่คนนี้นะคะ So the dubious looking Russian Mr. Roylott obviously. What catches your eyes in the first place? Is an enormous pair of shears in your hand. Now we ask ourselves, what could you possibly want with such an implement? The answer, of course, is staring us in the face. You are on the verge of using the shears to cut away the copious beard you sport. Now moving on. The question then begged is this. Why would you desire to rid yourself of this magnificent beard, Mr. Rylot? Once again, the answer is plain. We have clear evidence to shed light on the matter. Huh? Regard, if you will, this morning's newspaper, in particular, the fascinating front page article, which it would appear you have read also, Mr. Rylot. I'm sure it needs no further clarification. The evidence that reveals your true identity. Yes, the article was revolutionary. In translation, the headline reads, Revolutionary Violent Bolshevik flees Russia via Shanghai. As you cannot fail to observe, the subject of the article possesses an extremely copious beard. Having noted the article yourself, you decided to remove your incriminating facial hair before it gave you away. In short, your true identity is beyond doubt. You are the fearsome Russian revolutionary himself, villain Bolshevik. Not that I've heard of you myself, you understand. ชอบมากมันดีอันที่สองนะคะสิ่งที่เขาทำผิด Now, as for my second conclusion, you are at this very moment on the brink of committing the most grievous crime. Huh? And the proof of this crime over there. Oh yes, Mr. Rylot. Taken unawares, people have a propensity to let their eyes stray, you see. Ah! And I assure you, the eye speaks so much more eloquently and honestly than the mouth. The answer we seek lies where the furtive glance falls. The proof of your crime sits before our very eyes, yes, that traveling case. It is time, I think, that the case be opened and its contents laid bare. No, I refuse! What could you possibly be concealing inside, we asked? By my estimation, a young lady, perhaps? One slight enough to fit therein? Don't be absurd! And what, pray, would be the identity of this young lady in the traveling case? Dear me. We're not well suited to a life of crime, are we? You're callous Kudoyle? Betrays you. สายตาเหรอ? Once again, we need only to follow your furtive glance to find the answer. Yes, the reason you refuse to open your traveling case can equally be found in the pages of this newspaper. For there's another most stimulating article. If we turn from the fleeing revolutionary to the back page, renowned prima ballerina of Novovich Ballet disappears from Shanghai. Such a headline can lead us to but one conclusion. Your crime is that of abduction. And according to the article, the young lady's name is Nikolina Pavlova. เทปะสิ่งที่เขาทำผิดก็คือการลักพาตัวนักบัลเล่ต์นะคะ Thus concludes Sherlock Holmes' great deduction of this Russian enigma. Elemensky. เทปะชอบมากSo Sato-san, that wasn't one of the great deductions I've been hearing so much about, was it? Well, the stories are full of Mr. Sholmes' brilliant deductions, you know. But that did seem a little different somehow. Excuse me, Mr. Sholmes, could you come over here for a moment? ปาริโนสุเกะกลับบ้านกันโดนแย่งซีนหมดแล้วเอ้ยไม่มีทางเดี๋ยวดูเรายังไม่ได้เล่นเลยเดี๋ยวก่อนเดี๋ยวจะดูเดี๋ยวได้ดูแน่ว่าทำไมยังไงโฮคุก็จะอยู่เป็นเมนทนายตลอดไปนะคะทุกคนจะได้รู้ Pray, what can I do for you? It's about your deductions. Would you mind? Not at all. Go on. Well, to start with, there's the newspaper article. I think we had the same discussion before, but these two men look nothing like each other. Yes, I recall this discussion earlier, and at the time I believe I told you that the man is a revolutionary, well able to revolutionize his own appearance. In fairness to Mr. Sholmes, Mr. Roylott does look more like this man than you do. That's not the point. And another thing, the part about him abducting the ballerina, indeed, a truly startling revelation. At first glance, the case would appear too small to accommodate a young woman. Not just at first glance, it is too small, clearly. You'd be lucky to fit a 5-year-old child into that case, even if you push really hard. I don't suppose the missing ballerina is a 5-year-old child, is he? You mean you don't know? No, the young lady is 15. No, I didn't know. How could I? Well, if she's 15, then 10 years worth of her would be poking out from the case. Some years ago, I read something pertinent, I believe. A troop of men consuming vinegar daily in order to promote a certain litheness in their bodies. Vinegar? For such a sour bunch, it would surely be simplicity itself to contort oneself into the confines of that small case. Oh dear, you might be thinking of contortionist in the circus, Mrs. Sholmes. This whole thing is turning into a circus. Mr. Naruhodo, some things occurred to me about Mrs. Sholmes' seduction just now. I think his powers of observation are, well, magical. His eyes cut to the heart of the matter almost instantly. It's just where he directs his attention and his logic does seem a little off. Your idea of a little may be a little off itself, Mr. Sato. It's just one or two keywords in his seductions that seem to let him down. So I was wondering if we might perhaps tactfully switch them for alternatives. What do you think? Switch some keywords in the seductions? Yes, but very tactfully. I feel sure if we could do that, we'd unlock the true genius of Mr. Sholmes' great deduction. Precisely the thought that was going through my own mind. This man is a lot of work. At times, I wonder how anyone puts up with me. Ha 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 ha! Nandi! It's not that funny. And you, my good fellow. Sorry? Take a moment to look at your wrist. My wrist? Ah! What? Where are your handcuffs? Huh? How did... I felt they may hinder your ability to follow me in our dance of deduction. I don't believe it. Mr. Sholmes, you're a marvel. And don't worry, I shall restore the shackles to your wrist when we are finished. I'm not worried. In fact, I'd rather stay like this. So, So let us begin. Herlock Sholmes is proud to present his logic and reasoning spectacular. Course correction. Hold this, Mrs. Sholmes. มาเรามาแก้กันค่ะ อันไหนที่คุณชมเขาพูดผิดบ้าง So the tube is looking Russian, Mr. Roylott, obviously. What catches your eyes in the first place? Is the enormous pair of shears in your hand. Shears. Now we ask ourselves, what could possibly want with such an implement? The answer, of course, is staring us in the face. เมื่อกี้เป็นdeduction ใช่ไหมคะ ตัวนี้เป็น correction เพราะว่าเราจะต้องช่วยเขาตะกี้เขาบอกว่า copious beard ใช่ไหมแล้วเราก็ต้องมาช่วยเขาว่ามีอะไรผิดในสิ่งที่เขาพยายามจะในคีย์เวิร์ดที่เขาใช้นะคะI'm not sure. Would you really use shears like that to cut off a beard? I doubt that's something I'll ever have to worry about. It doesn't quite sit right with me, though. It doesn't seem to be sitting right with Mr. Rylot either. Which means, I suppose, that the deduction is wrong. Let's try to switch a keyword here, Naruto-san, and see if it helps matters. Alright, but how? I think we should start by taking a long, hard look at Mr. Rylot. I wonder if it's really his beard that he intended to use those shears on. Exactly. If we do manage to find something that seems to fit the sense of Mr. Sholmes' deduction better, then what? Then I'll leave the rest in your capable hands, Naruto-san. Why am I the one to do something about this? Well, anyway, let's see if there's anything we could even use to switch around in that last sentence. What exactly was Mr. Rylot really going to use those enormous shears for? และสิ่งที่เราต้องทำก็คือหมุนดูนะคะ หมุนว่าเราควรจะทำยังไงเนาะ เราควรจะเราคิดว่าเขาควรจะตัดอะไรที่ไม่ใช่ตัดหนวดนะคะ ซึ่งก็คืออันนี้นั่นเอง
Yes!
หล่อไหม You're on the verge of using the shears to cut away the golden locks you sport. Indeed, you have identified the precise detail I was intending to expose. หล่อปะหล่อปะหล่อเนาะ Such lush golden hair certainly does not befit an old man. You're not a man at all, you're a woman. And judging from the length and sheen of your hair, one still very much in her youth. Oh no! If only I had managed to cut off my hair, no one would have suspected. The question then begged is this: why would you desire to rid of yourself of those magnificent locks? Once again, the answer is plain. We have clear evidence to shed light on the matter. I'm sure it needs no further clarification. The evidence that reveals your true identity is the article about the revolutionary. Well, that was a shock. I had no idea that old man was really a young woman in disguise, did you? What? Why are you staring at me like that? Yes, it was a surprise, Naruto-san. You're enjoying this, aren't you? Sorry? You look like you're in your element as you dance around the room deducing the facts with Mr. Sholmes. I'm just doing what we agreed. I'm not having fun or anything. This is strictly business. Yes, I understand. Say no more. Well, anyway, let's focus on this next part of Mr. Sholmes' deduction, shall we? The evidence that he's picked out doesn't fit the facts at all now. No, that's true, given that Mr. Rylot is actually a woman. Exactly. He, or rather she, can't possibly be this merciless revolutionary. I suppose it's because the deduction as a whole has taken a different direction now. Yes. Let's switch the evidence for something else. Something that fits the facts so we now understand them. For some reason, this woman needed to try to hide her true identity. I feel as though I've either read or heard about a young woman in a situation like that recently. Alright, I'll do my best.
Yes!
คนหล่อเนี่ยจริง The evidence that reveals your true identity is, of course, the article about the ballerina. That's right, you've hit the nail on the head. Renowned prima ballerina of the Novovich Ballet disappears from Shanghai. It would appear we are finally able to address you by your true name. Yes, because your true identity is that of the Novovich Ballet's prima ballerina. Miss Nikolina Pavlova! Ah! You're right. My real name is Nina. I mean, Nikolina Pavlova. But please, I beg you, don't tell anyone. ค่าทีมตัวจริงคือเป็นนักบัลเล่ต์นะอยู่ดีๆ เสียงก็เล็กลงแล้วก็ตัวก็บางลงด้วยนะคะ มาอันที่สองค่ะ Now, as for my second conclusion, you are at this very moment on the brink of committing a most grievous crime. And the proof of this crime over there. Oh yes, Miss Pavlova. Taken unawares, people have propensity to let their eyes stray, you see. Ah, and I assure you, the eyes speak so much more eloquently and honestly than the mouth. ฝันดีนะคะคุณไปนอนฝันดีคุณใจสิงค่ะ The answer we seek lies where the furtive glance falls. The proof of your crime sits before our very eyes. Yes, that traveling case! This woman is a ballerina, and she is right in front of our eyes. So clearly, she can't be inside that traveling case as well. No, that's right. It seems she wasn't abducted at all. In which case, what is the crime this young woman is apparently committing? Ah, I can see I'm going to have to step in and fix the great detective's mistake again. You seem to look pleased, Naruto-san. Do you like the idea of another chance to dance around, Mr. Sholmes? Stop it. Anyway, there must be something else here that shows what this woman is up to. มาค่ะ เรามาดูกันถ้าไม่ใช่ traveling case คืออะไรนะคะ ก็คือมงกุฎ
Yes!
The proof of your crime is surely this tiara. Ah! I believe this tiara is worn on stage by dancers in Novovich Ballet, is it not? Indeed, it would appear to be identical to the tiara pictured here in this newspaper article. And if the reporting is to be believed, it's an item worth 20,000 rubles. Ah, 20,000 นะคะ 20,000 rubles. In summary, the crime you have committed is theft. Oh no! Yes, you left your ballet troupe, unlawfully taking their precious tiara with you. Ah! I have no one, no family, no friends. I'm all alone, and I need money. But I did not steal the tiara. It was a present from, how do you say, an Earl of Prussia. It belongs to me. This girl is only 15 years old, and she's run away all by herself. She must have been extremely lonely. All right, I'll tell you everything. There's no point to hiding it now. Come, let us not be hasty. What? There remains one unsolved mystery about you. Mystery? What do you mean? You have staunchly refused to open this traveling case of yours in our presence. It is reasonable to conclude, therefore, that there is some reason why you wish it to remain closed. Is that not so, Miss Pavlova? My dear girl, there's no sense in playing games with me. Nothing escapes my attention. Indeed, I have a very good idea of the contents of your case even before I have ever laid eyes on it. Dear me, we're not well suited to a life of crime, are we? Your callous Q Doyle betrays you. Once again, we need only follow your furtive glance to find the answer. Yes, the reason why you refuse to open your case is written in the books on the shelf. What? He's completely changed tack with his deduction now. ใช่เขาเปลี่ยนด้วยนะคะ ถ้าเกิดว่าเรื่องทุกอย่างมันเปลี่ยนไปแล้วเขาก็จะเปลี่ยนด้วยนะเปลี่ยนคีย์เวิร์ดของเขานะคะ I think Mr. Sholmes is adapting his logic to the changing circumstances, don't you? Yeah, right. Maybe, but why has he suddenly brought the bookshelf into office? It's just a wild guess, surely. Oh, do you think so? Well, it doesn't seem likely the reason why this young woman doesn't want to open her case would have been written in a book that doesn't even belong to her. Yes, that's true. But still, Miss Pavlova certainly did cast her eyes in that direction and noticed it myself. Then there has to be another reason why she won't open her case. It must be somewhere in the same area, if that's where her gaze was involuntarily drawn. I agree. That's the only answer. Whatever she has hidden inside that case should be revealed by following her gaze in the direction of the bookcase.
Yes!
คนหล่อเลยเพราะคุณจะพูดทุกครั้งที่เจอคุณนายที่หล่อมาก Yes, the reason why you refuse to open your case is written in the rules of passage. Passengers must not keep weapons or other dangerous objects in their cabins. Pets are also strictly forbidden. Inside the case of yours is something forbidden from carriage on this vessel. That is the real reason why you refuse to open it, thus revealing its contents. As we've seen, the trunk wobbles from time to time, but no weapon or other dangerous item would move of its own accord. Which leaves but one possibility, Miss Pavlova, inside your traveling case. Kote! Is the last item listed as forbidden in the vessel's rules of passage? A pet! หล่อจังเลยนะดูดิโคตรหล่อเลยอะโคตรหล่อเลยอะจริงโคตรหล่อจริงๆใครไม่เชื่อว่าคูเมนคุณนายนะลองคุณนายเวอร์ชั่นจริงจังดิโหยังหล่อเลยอะอยากจะเข้าไปแบบรักนะคะรักนะคะอย่างเงี้ยกูชอบผู้ชายแบบนี้อะผู้ชายที่แบบว่าอยู่ด้วยแล้วแบบสบายใจเล่นด้วยได้แต่พอแบบถึงเวลาเครียดถึงเวลาที่ต้องซีเรียสจริงๆเขาก็แบบซีเรียสชอบคนแบบนี้อะรู้สึกว่าไปไหนไปกันดีอู้ตีหนึ่งกว่าแล้วไปดีเลยเสร็จอันนี้ก่อนละกันโคตรหล่อเลย Production complete Elementary เย้หล่อมากอะไรมันจะหล่อขนาดนี้นะ So clearly you aren't who you said you were. No, I'm not Grimsby Roylott. อาจจะอ่านว่า Grimsby นะเพราะว่าอ่านผิดนะ My real name is Nikolina Pavlova. Everything you said was correct. You absented during one of your ballet company's performances in order to escape your homeland. Later that same night you stole aboard this vessel, which couldn't have been easy. The Guerrilla is a huge steamship with a vast crew. Could she really have snuck on board without being noticed? In order to obscure your true identity, you somewhat recklessly took the guise of an old gentleman, and you intended to savor all links with your past by severing your long hair. Yet to a woman, hair is no trifling matter. My personal recommendation is to leave well alone. So, if it was just you about to cut off your own hair, who was that that let out the scream we heard from outside the cabin? That veritable tinkling of a bell? Why, none other than this young lady, naturally. More like a full set of pipes, if you ask me. I was so scared when I ran away in Shanghai. I was so sure they would come looking for me. That's why I decided to, how do you say, disguise myself? So no one would recognize me. Disguise? เขาเป็นคนรัสเซียเนาะเขาจะแบบพูดผิดคูAs a result, you transform yourself into that questionable old man I see. Put on the fur hat and fake beard. Then, just before you came in here, I saw it in the newspaper. Right on the page, that was a picture of me. I was so frightened. I couldn't stop from screaming. I knew that if I didn't change my appearances completely, they would find me. So I decided to cut all my hair as fastly as possible. I picked up the scissors in my hand and at that precise moment, we walked in through the annoyingly unlocked cabin door. Things happen like that sometimes, don't they? Things do indeed happen like that, from time to time. Are those two women talking about the same thing? There's just one more thing I'd like to know. What exactly do you have inside your traveling case? You were right. It is my dear friend inside, my only friend in the whole world. Please, don't tell anyone. If the captain finds out, if you say to any of the crew, your secret is safe with us, I assure you. But in return, you must tell us in as much detail as you can muster about the events of last night. Yes, all right. I'll tell you. Well, Mr. Naruhodo? Was it something, Mr. Sholmes' great deduction? It was certainly something, yes. I'm just not entirely sure what. But at least Miss Pavlova has agreed to tell us what she knows. That's incredible. Indeed, it is incredible! Ah, and one more thing. Oh, yes? What? Observe your risks. My? Ah! Your hands are cuffed again! What? But how? True to my word, I've restored your shackles. Grrr. When and why? There is still a shadow of guilt cast over you, Mr. Naruhodo. สาวรัสเซียก็น่ารักเหมือนกันนะเนี่ยจะบอกว่าโฮคุเคยไปรัสเซียกับคุณพ่อคุณแม่ค่ะบอกเลยว่าผู้ชายไม่เท่าไหร่แต่สาวๆคือดีทุกคนผู้หญิงรัสเซียคือสวยมากมากๆมองเพลินมาก โอ้คุณชอบแบบดีมากเลยค่ะสาวรัสเซียคือแบบสุดปัง I'm sorry to say แต่ว่าตัวใหญ่มากนะตัวใหญ่ในที่นี้ไม่ได้หมายถึงอ้วนนะหมายถึงว่าสูงเขาสูงค่อนข้างสูงค่ะคิดว่าน่าจะสูงแบบประมาณโฮคุเลยอะและสูงกว่าสูงประมาณโฮคุและสูงกว่าแล้วก็แบบค่อนข้างจะแบบว่ามีความแบบไม่ได้ตัวแบบว่าเซเลนเดอร์น่ารักอะไรอย่างเงี้ยคือเขาหุ่นดีนะแต่ว่าเขาสูงแล้วเขาก็แบบมีความแบบเหมือนล่ำกว่าทางเรานิดนึงแต่ว่าสวยมากเลยอ่ะสวยโอ้ชอบผู้หญิงตัวสูงๆแล้วมันดีจังเลย I'm sorry to say it can't be helped at the moment can't it really Anyway, let's listen to what Miss Pavlova has to say. I can't go on not knowing. I have to find out what the speckled band that Kazuma-sama wrote about in his diary really was. โอเคเราจะจบกันแค่นี้นะคะเราจะจบกันไว้เท่านี้แล้วล่ะนะให้เพลงเป็นนั่นละกันก็ขอบคุณทุกคนมากๆเลยนะคะที่มาดูครูในวันนี้นะคะก็จะขอตัดตรงนี้เพราะว่าเดี๋ยวพรุ่งนี้ครูตื่นเช้าต้องออกไปมีนัดข้างนอกนะคะเพราะฉะนั้นก็ขอบคุณทุกคนมากๆเลยที่เข้ามาดูครูในรอบนี้นะเดี๋ยวยังไงเดี๋ยวครูจะพยายามหาเวลามากองโจรต่อนะคะดิวกรุงเทพจริงๆเนาะใช่ไหมน่ารักเนาะแต่เรียกริวคุงแล้วเหมือนเรียกคุณทนายฟีนิกซ์ไรท์เพราะจริงๆแล้วคุณทนายชื่อริวอิจินะคะนารุโฮโดริวอิจิ ใช่แล้วก็คุณบรรพบุรุษเขาก็เลยชื่อว่านารูโฮโตริวโนสกิก็ยังไงก็ตามขอบคุณทุกคนมากเลยที่เข้ามาดูครูในวันนี้นะคะยังไงก็ฝันดีราตรีสวัสดิ์แล้วก็เดี๋ยวพรุ่งนี้เจอกันตอน6 โมงเย็นนะคะเดี๋ยวเราจะมาคุยเรื่องหลอนๆแทนเกมเฟโดเฟมที่ไม่ยอมออกภาษาอังกฤษนะคะเอ๊ะอีหยังอะขอบคุณคุณโนมันนี่นะคะสำหรับการปิดหลอดนะคุณโนมันนี่เป็นอัปเกรดสมาชิกแล้วใช่ไหมอะช่วยรบกวนส่งอีเมลไปให้พี่ซินดี้หน่อยนะคะใน DM ของทวิตพี่ซินดี้@cindy_plg manager นะคะรบกวนด้วยนะคะเดี๋ยวครูส่งคลิปเสียงไปให้นะโอเคก็เดี๋ยวครูกลับที่ก่อนต้องเปลี่ยนหลอดไม่กลับที่แล้วกันอยู่ตรงนี้แหละแป๊บนึงนะทุกคนเดี๋ยวครูจะเปลี่ยนหลอดนะโอเคนั่งดูครูนิ่งๆไปก่อนนะครูจะเปลี่ยนหลอดเปลี่ยนเป็นอะไรดีอะขอบคุณสำหรับการปิดโหลดนะคะอินโทรไปแล้วโอเคเปลี่ยนยังน่าจะเปลี่ยนแล้วนะโอเคเปลี่ยนแล้วเดี๋ยวกลับที่ก่อนก็ชิโอเคเงินสดไม่มีในบัญชีมันเป็น100 ล้านไม่ใหม่ไหมไม่เอาไม่ใหม่แล้วครูมีไม่แล้วใช่ยังไงก็ขอบคุณมากเลยนะคะทุกคนอุตส่าห์ปิดหลอดตอนสุดท้ายด้วยขอบคุณค่ะโอเคใช่คุณโนมันนี่ก็ต้องโนมันนี่สิจะมาโนมันนี่ปลอมๆอะไรเงินแค่นี้สำหรับคุณโนมันนี่มันไม่ใช่มันนี่ซะหน่อยมันคือเศษมันนี่ใช่ปะ เอาเป็นว่าขอบคุณทุกคนนะคะรักนะเศษเงินหลังตู้เย็น ทำไมต้องหลังตู้เย็นด้วยอะเฮ้ยขอบคุณนะคะคุณโนมานี่อย่าลืมส่งอีเมลไปให้นะคะถ้าเกิดว่ามีชื่อหรืออะไรที่แบบว่าอยากจะให้โอคูเรียกเป็นพิเศษก็ส่งมาพร้อมๆกับอีเมลเลยนะคะไม่งั้นโอคูก็จะเรียกด้วยชื่อที่ใช้ในแชทของทุกคนนะคะเวลาส่งไป ขอบคุณทุกคนนะคะวันนี้ก็นอนหลับฝันดีแล้วก็เจอกัน6 โมงนะคะ6 โมงวันนี้นี่แหละใช่6 โมงเย็นนะคะเดี๋ยวครูไปทำธุระแล้วเดี๋ยวครูกลับมาขอบคุณมากๆเลยยังไงก็รักทุกคนนะขอบคุณมากๆเลยนะคะที่มาดูถึงแม้ว่าครูจะไม่แปลนะคะ ต้องขออภัยจริงๆเพราะว่าขี้เกียจมาก รู้สึกว่าคดีมันยาวจนแบบโอเค วันนี้ฝันดีราตรีสวัสดิ์นะคะทุกคนเดี๋ยวโค้ดขอหาโอเคไม่หมดโอเคงั้นเราโค้ดไปก่อนนะสำหรับวันนี้บ๊ายบายนะคะมั่วมั่วมั่วมั่วมั่วมั่วมั่วมั่วมั่วมั่วมั่วค่ะคิดอะไรโอคุไปแล้วนะคะบ๊ายบาย over and out มั่วพลพรรคผู้อดนอนกับโฮคุกันนะคะ มีทั้งหมด3ระดับ3ราคาพร้อมสิทธิพิเศษมากมายเลยนะคะมาสิมาเถอะนะมาสิมาก็บอกให้มาไงมาเดี๋ยวนี้เลยนะ